Joining us now, Tom White. He's from the noted blog in Virginia, Virginia Writes. Always got something to say. Tom, good to have you with us.
Hey, John. How you doing this morning?
All right, so let's go to some of these races. I want to start, get your perspective on it. Let's start with District 11, where we've got a three-way Republican primary. Businessman Barry Moore and long-term political operative Amanda Chase challenging long-term incumbent Steve Martin in the Republican primary there. This is a Republican seat, so whoever wins on June 9th is going to be the state senator. The Richmond Times-Dispatch, Tom, on Sunday, in a surprise move, I thought, endorsing Amanda Chase. What do you make of this race?
Well, I think it's probably, most people would say it's Steve Martin's to lose.
Right.
He's got to be the favorite, longtime incumbent. I've known Amanda for several years now, and she's a good lady. I respect her a whole lot, and she's working really hard. She's a mom. You knew that.
Yes, she's a mom.
Okay, but she's a good person. We've worked on several campaigns, and she briefly worked to help Dave Bratt in his campaign. It's an interesting race, but I think the problem is going to be that the not Steve Martin vote is going to be split between Chase and Moore.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I've been saying that for some time. If perhaps if Martin was in a head-to-head with either candidate, maybe one or the other would knock him off. But when it's being split three ways to Wednesday, I think that favors Martin. He's also taken this race very seriously, Tom. I mean, he's been campaigning since basically October. He started, and he called me. I've told the story on the air. He called me the day after Thanksgiving on Friday, and said he wanted to meet to go over radio advertising, and this was in November. So that told me right there that he was taking this race seriously. He's got a good campaign team behind him, and so we'll see how it plays out. The other guy you can't count out, though, is this guy Moore. He's got the backing of the sheriffs. You know he's going to get the 35% no matter what. So
I think that sounds about right.
Yeah, he could be closing.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's going to be an interesting race to watch. The Times-Dispatch, that endorsement of Amanda Chase kind of just blew me away. I think it caught a lot of people off guard. I'd assumed they would, if they endorsed it all in that race, that they'd go for Steve Martin.
Well, he isn't a mom.
That's true. So, but it's going to be one. It's going to be one we're all going to be watching on June the 9th.
It's going to be interesting. We're with Tom White, political analyst, blogger extraordinaire from Virginia Writes. Tom, let's get to let's get to. I'm sorry, I just got a text here that made me laugh. I got a text here from the hardened political operative Amanda Chase, just as we were on the air. And by the way, Tom, do you know that she's a mom? I do. Toss that out there.
But let me just say, I really like Amanda. We've been friends, and she's a wonderful lady. So she's probably tweeting me too.
Okay, so right now we're in agreement. I think it's Martin's to lose. I think he's got the other advantage he's got is Alec Thomas, his campaign manager, really sharp guy. And but look, this is not fait accompli, and both of these candidates closing. So I see this, and I said this a week ago, I see this race tightening right now at the end. Okay, let's go to Republican District 12, where we've got four candidates: Dr. Siobhan Dunnavant, Vince Haley, works for Newt Gingrich, former House of Delegates member Bill Janus, and longtime political activist Eddie Whitlock. How do you see this race, Tom, right now?
Well, I think a lot of people say Janus is probably in the lead, but I think it's pretty tight between Janus and Haley, and it's certainly the most interesting soap opera we have in the state.
I think this also, by the way, Bill Janus getting the endorsement on Sunday of the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Also, I've got it the same thing. I've got Janus with a lead. I've got Haley closing. I believe the Siobhan Dunnavant campaign right now, Tom, is in big trouble. Let me read you something that Tom Garrett, Senator Garrett from Louisa, wrote on our Facebook page over the weekend. He said this is in response to the interview that we had with Dr. Siobhan Dunnavant, I think, on around Wednesday after this whole thing with the meeting with the Democrats came out. Senator Tom Garrett said two things in that interview. First, number one, she says she backs a Virginia-based plan to address the Medicaid issue. Sounds a lot like the wolf in wolf's clothing that was a Marketplace, Virginia. Senator Tom Garrett goes on to say, second, she says twice that she met with the Republican caucus. Senator Tom Garrett says, I am in the Republican Senate caucus. She never met with the Republican Senate caucus. She never met with any conservative senators to my knowledge. She did meet with Saslaw McEachin and another Democrat, but not with us. So who's lying here?
Well, now, Tom Garrett and I have been friends for a number of years, and I respect him a great deal. He's been a great senator. And, if he says that, I'd have to go along with him. But if we gave it a little perspective here that some people that don't follow things as closely may not understand, the Senate is essentially split. The Republicans have a +1 advantage right now. If it goes back to a tie, by virtue of the fact that our lieutenant governor presides, he will cast the deciding vote. That's kind of a precedent that's been set for Senate organization. So it's 2020, the Democrats prevail, and they're going to stack the seats and own all the chairmanships,
right,
and drive the Senate agenda. Well, what happened, we had an election, I think it was last fall, and the Republicans went back up, so they were up for this session. So the Democrats would like nothing better than to take a seat, any seat, more than one, but a seat for sure.
Right.
During the session, Walter Stosh on January 12th announced his retirement and kind of blew everybody away.
Right.
This is just to set up what was in Dr. Dunnavant's mind. On January 14th, 2 days later, Bill Janus announced that he was running for the seat. The same day, Vince Haley announced he's running. January 30th, Eddie Whitlock announced he's running. So Siobhan Dunnavant is looking at, there's 3 Republicans already running. Bill Janus has a long association with the Boyd Marcus, Ray Allen, Eric Cantor machine, and there's no doubt he can raise tons of money. Haley, his connection to Newt Gingrich makes him a very strong candidate. And Eddie Whitlock is a long-time party activist and good guy. So she's looking at 3 heavy hitters in this race before she even gets out of the starting gate. So if she's going to win, knowing Democrats would pretty much sell their mother to own one more seat.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense that she would set up a meeting. Her brother, I think Ken Stolley, the Virginia Beach sheriff, was said to have set up the meeting. Well, it makes a lot of sense. How much would the Democrats, offer with the money machines behind Bill Janus and the other heavy hitters? She was starting out in a hole. So, I find it incredible and just impossible for me to believe that she didn't go in at least flirt with the idea of running as a Democrat, and perhaps they didn't offer her the financing she was hoping to have a chance, so she went ahead and entered as a Republican. Well, and the fact that Walter Stosh endorsed her,
right?
I mean, I think Tom Garrett, that's all I needed to know, that Walter Stosh wouldn't endorse anybody. He's a tax and spend, loves his welfare. Walter Stosh has not been a favorite of Virginia Wright or mine for a long time.
Well, look, Dick Saslow told me on the phone after I had the opportunity to have Dr. Siobhan Dunnavant on the show. Saslow told me that Ken Stolley, the former state senator and now sheriff in Virginia Beach, saw him at the chili cook-off, whenever that is, and said that he wanted him to meet with his sister Siobhan, that she was considering running for state senator as a Democrat in the district. And Saslow said that he specifically said, "Can you meet with her? I'll set up a meeting and sit down with her and see if she might be a viable candidate for you guys going into 2015." So Saslow, he said that to me now 2 times. Now, it's too specific to make this up. I mean, he's got a date, he's got a time, he's got a place. McKeachin confirmed the meeting. Nobody that I talked to said that Siobhan Dunnavant, after the meeting, ever called them to say, "Oh, by the way, that was just a courtesy." That both of them told me they found out from the media that she was, number one, opposed to Medicaid expansion, and number two, that she was running as a Republican. And both of them said that came as a complete shock to her because they expected at some point in time she'd follow up with them. So, I asked her on my radio show point blank if they were lying, and she didn't really answer the question. But somebody has a gross misinterpretation of what went down at this meeting and who set it up and why it was set up. The other thing that bothers me about this is what Tom Garrett said, the fact that she didn't meet with any of the conservative senators. So she's meeting with Saslow and McKeachin in a secret meeting in a hotel across the street from the General Assembly. I don't know what that meeting was about. Meantime, there was no meeting set up with the conservatives or with the Republican caucus on the other side. So you just got to start to ask yourself these questions. And it seems to me, Tom, in looking at this, that this is kind of the eBay candidate.
It's the highest bidder, and
who's going to? It's like, I want to be a state senator. What party is going to give me the best opportunity to be a state senator? And then, what issues do I have to take the mantle of that's going to give me the best opportunity to be a state senator? So it's like, I just want to be a state senator. I don't care if it's pro-Medicaid expansion or not pro-Medicaid expansion. I don't care if it's a Republican or it's a Democrat. I just want to be in the states. I want to be in the state Senate. And I think when you get candidates that have that blind ambition to just be in government, you know what? You look back in history, that's not turned out too well.
No. Well, it's I kind of termed it going after the gender fluidity thing in Northern Virginia, where they're teaching that to the kids. This is party fluidity. She can't make up her mind. I'd have to say, I heard what she said. She denied ever considering running as a Democrat and said that the 3 senators are all incorrect. But, it comes down to what do you believe? And when I look at it in the context of time, what was going on with everybody else announcing, the fact that, she's kind of late getting out of the gate, she would, it would be a natural thing for some people to look at all their options if they really wanted to be a senator and weren't particular about which party. So, party fluidity, here we go.
Well, the whole thing just doesn't make any sense to me because Siobhan Dunnavant's, I guess, reasoning was that, well, the Democrats don't want me in there. And I would think if you met with them and what they're saying was you were certainly told them you were in favor of a version of Medicaid expansion. If I'm Dick Saslow, I'm saying to myself, well, I'm a lot better off with her than I am with Bill Janus, Orvins Haley, Reddy Whitlock. So I would just shut up and hope she wins. So the whole thing doesn't make any sense. Now, what was their incentive for coming out with the story, and I've said this on the air, nobody shopped this story to me. I just happened to see the article by Jim Nolan a week ago in the Times-Dispatch that said this meeting happened, and I just started asking questions because it it didn't make any sense to me, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like they were shopping the story. But if I'm Sazoff, if I'm Don, I'm sitting there and I'm saying to myself, my God, I hope she wins because, look, we met with her and she's kind of open to some form of Medicaid expansion. So let's just hope and pray she wins. Why they would torpedo her candidacy doesn't make any sense to me, other than what Senator Tom Garrett said a week ago, Tom, which was they don't trust her. And they would rather deal with a conservative that they trust than someone that they're not sure where they stand. I don't know what the deal is, but I think this is devastating to her candidacy. When you've got three other solid conservatives, all with a pretty good track record, with some exciting ideas, I just don't see where the Siobhan Dunnavant campaign has any traction at the end of the day after this is over.
I don't either, and I think I could bet my bottom dollar without checking with Bill Janus or Vince Haley or Eddie Whitlock that none of them had a courtesy meeting with the Democrats.
No, I don't think they did. Tom, we're out of time. We want to thank Tom White. No courtesy meeting with the Republican caucus.